My name is Nadia Zaim, and I am one of the co-chairs of the Westlake North Olmsted chapter of the League of Women Voters of Greater Cleveland. I would like to welcome you to our candidate forum for North Olmsted City Council Wards 3 and 4. Our moderator this evening is Susan Murnan. Susan has been a member of the League since 2011 and is currently a member of the Bay Village chapter. She was appointed to serve on the board of directors of Greater Cleveland in 2014, where she served as co-president. She then served on the board of directors of the League of Women Voters of Ohio from June 2019 to June 2021. This forum is being recorded and it will be posted on our Facebook and YouTube pages following the program. While we encourage you to share those links with others who are not able to attend tonight, please note this recording is the property of the League of Women Voters of Greater Cleveland, and no portion of this recording may be reproduced or used without the express written permission of the League of Women Voters of Greater Cleveland. I will now turn it over to our moderator, Susan Murnan, to go over the guidelines and to introduce our candidates.
Thank you. Am I on? Okay.
Yes.
Good evening and welcome to the 2021 Candidate Forum for the North Olmsted City Council Wards 3 and 4. North Olmsted elects council members from 4 wards for 4-year terms every 4 years. The election is nonpartisan. Tonight's candidates are Mary Gilchrist and Sharon G. Kelly competing for Ward 3, and Alejandro Schock and Mary Ellen Heeman competing for Ward 4. All 4 candidates have agreed to appear and to abide by league guidelines. There will be 2-minute opening and closing statements. Ward 3 will go first, followed by Ward 4. A coin flip determined which candidate will give the first opening statement in each ward. The other candidate in that ward will give the first closing statement at the conclusion of this forum. Opening statements will be followed by questions. Questions may be addressed to all 4 candidates or only to candidates for a particular ward. The audience is invited to submit questions during this forum through the Zoom's Q&A. All questions are screened by League of Women Voters members for duplication, relevancy, and appropriateness. Candidates will be allowed 1 minute to answer questions. Bruce Robinson is our timekeeper, and he will give visual warnings to the candidates. Follow-up questions may be allowed at my discretion. I want to thank the candidates, the audience, and all of the League of Women Voters members who have volunteered to help produce this forum. Your participation is essential to making democracy work. And now, for opening statements, Mary Gilchrist, you may have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Mary Gilchrist, and I'm a candidate running for North Olmsted City Council in Ward 3. I love North Olmsted and want to keep it a great place to live. Generations of our family have lived in this city for well over 100 years. I personally have lived here for over 28 years, and my husband Ray and I have raised our children here. We are actively involved in North Olmsted City Schools and our parish church of St. Clarence. Our family is a public service family. We believe in helping our community and giving back. My husband worked in service for 33 years at North Olmsted, with 13 years directly at the wastewater treatment plant. I am a nurse with a master's degree in nursing. For the last 17 years, I have worked in an intensive care unit. During the beginning of the pandemic, I worked in the ICU. Am I done? Can I keep going?
My internet connection appears to be unstable. I lost you all for a minute, or you lost me. I'm not sure which. I hope this doesn't continue. That's
okay.
I hope, Bruce, you will accommodate that interruption. My fault.
My experience as a nurse has taught me the importance of teamwork. Working well with others isn't optional, it's critical. My main concerns for North Olmsted are safety, service, and seniors. We need to keep North Olmsted a safe place to live for all of our residents. Promoting excellence through services provided to our residents should be a priority, along with having a plan for what our city will look like in the future. We must also not leave our seniors behind as we renew our city. Thank you for this opportunity to introduce myself to the League of Women Voters and to the residents of Ward 3 in North Olmsted who may be in attendance.
Thank you very much. And now, Sharon Kelly for Ward 3. You're muted, Sharon.
There we go. Is that better? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. I wanted to first thank you for the opportunity this evening. This is all very new to me, but it's something I wanted to get involved with. I've lived in North Olmsted for almost 25 years, and I've raised my 3 boys here. All 3 of my children give back to North Olmsted through their volunteer work. I volunteer quite a bit in North Olmsted, especially through the North Olmsted sporting programs. As my children were growing up, my focus was on raising them, but I was always involved, whether it was PTA, athletic boosters, the sites programs. I always wanted to be involved in North Olmsted. I now have the time to give focus to the city and what I've grown to love. I've worked in both the public and private sector, so I'm familiar with how things can work behind the scenes in both entities. But I also know I will approach anything put in front of me in a way I will have an open mind, which also means I will do what I think is right. I can think for myself. Walking my ward, it has become very obvious we all have the same concerns and the same visions. We have a lot of flooding in my ward. I live in a flood zone. I know what it's like to wake up looking at a forecast knowing we might have a rain and wondering what's going to happen to my house. There is no doubt I will face many challenges and not agree with everything put in front of me. But as far as I'm concerned, it's okay to disagree because I can still work with people and we can find a common ground. Open dialogue with City Council as well as the people of North Olmsted will get things done. I feel City Council needs to be people-friendly and approachable, and I hope I can be that person for our ward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we will go to Ward 4. And our first opening statement will be given by Alejandro Schock.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me? Wonderful. My name is Alejandro Schock. I'm a candidate for North Olmsted City Council Ward 4, and I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to participate in this evening's candidate forum. I look forward to introducing you to my vision for North Olmsted, and I hope to earn your support not just tonight, but this November as well. North Olmsted deserves a fresh perspective on City Council. We have lost too much time and far too much money to a City Council that prioritizes political grandstanding over the well-being of our community. My opponent, Mary Ellen Heeman, was instrumental in the loss of $4 million in drinking water line replacement funding. While she defends her record on the issue, North Olmsted residents continue to pay for water line improvements in Fairview Park, Rocky River, Olmsted Falls, and 39 other communities. In Fairview, River, Olmsted Falls alone, North Olmsted residents have contributed to over $18 million in water line replacements since 2012 while receiving nothing at home. Mary Ellen Heeman was also instrumental in the loss of $500,000 in ODOT traffic and safety grant funding for the north end of Clegg Road. As we emerge from the pandemic and as the world around us changes at lightning speed, we need leadership ready to embrace the challenge. Our community needs a city council focused on solving problems, not creating them. North Olmsted is a community of opportunity, and it's time that we had a council ready to leverage these opportunities into sustainable long-term success. As a civil engineer, I understand the value of listening to everyone and working together to get things done. Every day, I work with communities just like ours to identify common sense solutions to complex challenges. As a councilman, I'll use my experience as a listener and a problem solver to bring a fresh perspective to North Olmsted City Council and ensure that North Olmsted is a great place for seniors, families, and children for years to come. Thank you very much.
Mary Ellen Heeman.
Thank you, Susan. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to my home. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. Each year, they work tirelessly for our voters to host events and keep us informed. Many of you are familiar with me because I serve as your Ward 4 Councilwoman. For those of you that don't know me, let me introduce myself. I am Mary Ellen Heeman, a career paralegal and a former business owner. My career has spanned some 20 years, not just a shy few. 11 of those years I spent working at the international law firm of Jones Day. Working at Jones Day provided a vast pool of knowledge, resources, and good old-fashioned hard work. I have worked 198 hours in 2 weeks, side by side with the most experienced, educated, trusted, and qualified folks in the business. My specialty focused on Fortune 500 Chapter 11 work, such as the Chrysler bankruptcy. I worked directly with the team who put together the finance package for Crocker Park. You may be familiar with that. I worked directly with the team who, as well as did high-end real estate transactions, including our own mall when it was under the ownership of DDR, an East Side real estate firm. Experience matters when you're running a city, and to run it effectively and efficiently, experience is necessary. I did not grow up in North Olmsted, but actually in an inner city neighborhood in Cleveland. My perspective of North Olmsted and how I view the needs of our community are different sometimes than those of some of my colleagues who have spent their entire lives here. I operate from experience and not nostalgia. I have a high profile in volunteerism. I am a life member at the VFW right here in North Olmsted. I am engaged in many organizations inside and outside of North Olmsted. All of those things under my belt before I sought a council seat. My husband, Ed Holt, and I are members of St. Brendan Parish, and I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to share with you this evening my plan and the information of how I will continue to serve as your councilwoman and to serve North Olmsted. Thank you.
Okay, now for questions. We will continue to do Ward 3 first, but we will alternate with the candidates who gets to go first with each question, if I can keep this straight. So, first question goes to Sharon Kelly. What is your position on North Olmsted joining Cleveland Water's suburban water main renewal program? You're muted, Sharon. Unmute, please.
I apologize. I've never used Zoom before.
Each question, you get 1 minute.
Okay. Right now, I had to do a lot of research and learning about the water program, that the Cleveland Water Program. North Olmsted continues to own water lines, then we will be responsible for the replacement to a tune of $30 million over the next 2 decades. Yes, there is a contract with Cleveland Water to fix water main breaks. However, this is a proactive approach to get the old pipes fixed that are past their prime. People are drinking out of pipes that are almost 100 years old. They need to be replaced. And this is a proactive look to do it at no cost, no tax increase anyways. In the next 20 years, it's estimated that the city will need the $30 million of pipe water replacement. If we join the program, there will be the biggest tax hike North Olmsted has ever experienced. Where does that 30 million come from? Cleveland Water knows how much those water lines are, and they know which pipes are 100 years old. You are drinking from that water. Like I said, it is a proactive approach with a solution that does not increase the taxes right now, and there is no alternative strategy. This is a no-brainer. We have to join. Otherwise, our taxes are going to go up, and we cannot afford this, especially our seniors who are on a fixed budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Gilchrist, what is your position on whether North Olmsted should join Cleveland Water's suburban water main renewal program?
So it's my understanding that currently the water that we get comes from Cleveland through Westlake. So the lines for our water actually flow through Westlake and then get to us. And Westlake right now is in a lawsuit to try to break away from Cleveland Water and go to Avon Lake. So if they move to Avon Lake, who would pay for us to have access to the water from Cleveland? So since we don't have a guarantee that Cleveland would pay for those lines to come through, then that's why it's not a good idea to sign that contract at this time in history. So they need to find out what Westlake is doing first before they decide to sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 4, Mary Ellen Heeman, what's your position with regard to joining Cleveland Water's Suburban Water Main Renewal Program?
And that's an excellent question and has been much debated over the past 2.5 years. We cannot at this time engage with Cleveland Water in new agreements. We do currently have agreements that even provide a capital improvement program. The administration has not forced them to give us that program. The fundamental first issue, some folks will tell you, well, Avon Lake isn't guaranteeing anything to us either. We're not in discussions with Avon Lake. We are not considering joining Avon Lake. That's a non-issue, a non-starter. I have asked 3 times for the water commissioner of the city of Cleveland to bring their legal team to my meetings, and have asked him directly if he will not do that, would he please then have them put in writing that tomorrow, 2 years, 5 years, these are 20-year agreements, you don't get out of them quickly, that the city of Cleveland will guarantee to North Olmsted that we will not pay any reconnection fee, any access fee, or higher water rates for pushing the water further and higher if Westlake should leave. So we don't really care if Westlake leaves or stays with Cleveland. That is not for us to judge or decide. We care about our residents not paying more money, as other suburbs have sometimes had to, through what's called access fees. I've read each of the 40 agreements, 3 sets of documents, 40 agreements for 40 suburbs. I'm well versed on Cleveland Water, and it is something North Olmsted does not want to do at this time. Voted down 6-1. Thank you.
Thank you. Alejandro Schock, please tell us what your position is on North Olmsted joining Cleveland Water's Suburban Water Main Renewal Program.
Absolutely. This is one of the most important issues of the next 20 years for North Olmsted, and I absolutely support joining the program. Every year, North Olmsted residents are paying into this program and receive nothing in return. Like I said in my intro, since 2012 alone, Fairview, River, and Olmsted Falls have received over $18 million in water line replacements, in part paid for by North Olmsted residents. I think it's interesting that my opponent brings up that they're not in discussions with Avon Lake, and that they're not interested in joining Avon Lake, and that they don't care about what happens with the Westlake litigation. To date, City Council has identified no alternative funding source or no alternative water source that can cover the replacement of over $30 million in water lines that will reach their 100-year service life within the next 20 years. Taxpayers should not have to pay for new water lines at home while simultaneously paying for new water lines in neighboring communities. This city council wants residents to settle for repairs while neighboring communities market their brand new drinking water lines, paid for in part by the residents of North Olmsted, to their prospective businesses and residents. I support the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Question, Susan?
Yes.
What is the process for rebuttal? Was at your discretion, but how do we request it, or do you invoke it?
I will entertain a 30-minute rebuttal on this question. Would you like a 30-minute rebuttal?
Not 30 minutes, 30 seconds, I think you mean. Yeah, 30 minutes would be awesome.
No, don't get 30.
It's complicated.
30
Are
seconds.
you timing now?
Bruce, are you timing now? Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's important to understand that the $4 million is a lottery program the city of Cleveland actually admits that only 20% of our water lines qualify for these programs, and that the others are really not that old. North Olmsted was fundamentally built in the 70s. We have only, a little bit of water lines that are that old that they should be repairing anyway. And the lottery program is simply that. Everything is rated by age and process. It's put into a pool competing with the other 40 suburbs. Many of those suburbs are 100 years, 50, 60 years older than we are. And barely 20% of the lines qualify. So that is our big objection. It's not free money. Thank you.
Thank you. I encourage the audience to submit questions to these candidates. Right now, we have no questions in the Q&A, so we would very much appreciate audience letting us know what you would like to hear. Now, we go back to.
Would you mind if I offer my own rebuttal to that statement?
Yes, I do. I think one rebuttal is enough. We're going to move on. Now we are going to go to Mary Gilchrist. And my next question talks about the 2015 master plan was developed for North Olmsted to create a more attractive place to live, visit, and invest. What is your assessment of how North Olmsted has achieved goals set forth in the master plan? And how would you attract businesses back to North Olmsted to fill the many empty storefronts? How would you encourage current businesses to remain in North Olmsted? Mary Gilchrist?
Thank you. I think that the master plan that was utilized in 2015 is not utilized enough with the current administration. And I think that it would be a good idea to attract businesses here is maybe get a person who could work on filling those storefronts and maybe help with the economic hardships that have happened because of COVID.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that your statement? Sharon Kelly, how would you attract businesses back to North Olmsted? How would you use the master plan to attract new businesses and to encourage current businesses to remain in North Olmsted?
Okay. First of all, I think the mayor does a great job of sharing information to the public with the residents. We saw the new Vitalia go up, the nursing home center that brought in 62 places. He got the new Vector truck, the street sweeper purchased to keep the debris out of the pipes to help alleviate some of the flooding. He got the retention basins done, but right now we need an economic developer to come back to North Olmsted. For some reason, current city council got rid of him. He was the one that was keeping business here. He was going out and searching for new business. He kept everything going smoothly, and he was in works with other companies, and they decided to disband with his job. I think he is an expert, or whoever they bring in would be perfect. I would support bringing on a new economic manager. You need to bring more businesses into North Olmsted, but you also have to work with the ones you have and keep the people in North Olmsted happy. I'm ready to see this happen. North Olmsted is a great place to live, and we just need to bring business back. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for Ward 4, Alejandro Schacht, it's your turn. What is your assessment of how North Olmsted has achieved the goals set forth in the master plan? And how would you attract a business back to North Olmsted and encourage current businesses to remain in North Olmsted?
Yeah, so the city's been making progress with its master plan, including improvements as the new sidewalk on Columbia, improvements on Country Club Boulevard, Kiwanis Park, and improvements at Clague Park, and upcoming landscaping improvements on Brook Park Road. And COVID has impacted that a little bit. I think in terms of attracting and retaining businesses, our location is our biggest resource. North Olmsted is roughly 10 miles from anything on the west side, and we have quick access to I-480 along with the Turnpike and I-71. We're also a stone's throw from the airport, and we have a good mix of hotels and restaurants. We have a really good base. I think that we're in an ideal position to welcome residents from the west side suburbs, Cleveland, and visitors to our region. And that's how we must market our community to businesses. It's an ideal location with a wealth of potential customers. Council needs to be ready to provide our business partners with the tools necessary to thrive. And I intend to share this vision with the business community and highlight to them all that North Olmsted has to offer. And I think we start by returning the economic development manager to the city's budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ellen Heeman, how would you,
Go ahead.
how do you think the master plan has been implemented, and what is your assessment of how you would go about attracting new businesses and encouraging the existing businesses to continue in North Olmsted?
Thank you, Susan. It's a great question. Our storefronts have been empty for too long. The master plan is moving along. Of course, it takes a very long time and resources to accomplish the entire thing. What I can tell you about our business in North Olmsted is that we really only had a part-time business consultant. He was never a director. He was never a manager. He actually was not connected to finance places like the state teachers unions, the Port Authority, or any of those major players within Cuyahoga County and this, the surrounding areas. So he really couldn't answer our questions as to how he was marketing North Olmsted. He told me he sent flyers to real estate developers. We moved that money into another fund, $25,000, to combine with other money. And I, along with some of my colleagues, wrote the North Olmsted extended outdoor dining legislation, which expanded our outdoor dining during the COVID pandemic. I also wrote indoor extended dining legislation that I worked with the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. Unfortunately, the administration didn't really promote that very much. Chris Glassburn, Ward 2, and I had to go around door to door to do that. We also created a small business development program, giving businesses between $1,000 to $2,500 to retain them in North Olmsted so that they would not go under during the pandemic. I'm also building a business development team, and we'll have an all hands on deck approach to building that. Thank you.
Okay. Just a second here. Going back to Sharon Kelly, what do you see as the biggest challenges currently? What are the biggest challenges currently facing North Olmsted?
Well, again, I'm going to go back to the lack of economic growth in North Olmsted. Like everyone said, we all know we have many open storefronts. We have businesses coming and going. It's nice to see some of the new businesses coming in. Absolutely. I think we've all in the city go out and support them. We have a very friendly community that if they know a business is in trouble, they will support the business. People go on the forum and say, hey, they're doing this. They're just trying to stay above water, and people will support those businesses, which I think is great community support. But again, I do need to see the economic development consultant who would work hand in hand with the director of planning and community development. Before city council chose to eliminate the position in March of 21, the consultant did foundation work in infrastructure development, increased the city's regional and global competitiveness, as well as worked with current businesses to meet their expanding needs, Moen being the number one. They needed more space. He got them more space. He listened. He kept them there. They're still here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Gilchrist, in your opinion, what are the biggest challenges currently facing North Olmsted?
I have to agree that the the storefronts are definitely an issue for North Olmsted. You know, our mall is empty when you walk through it. Sears is gone now. I think that maybe somebody to go and talk to the businesses and see what they need, the current ones we have, or what they would want to help us retain the ones that we have. And then maybe somebody to work on development of those empty storefronts and try to get them full again. Thank you.
When you say, brief follow-up, when you say get somebody to work on, are you talking about reestablishing the economic development position?
I'm not sure if we economic development person or a part-time consultant would be better. I think what we have to do is look what would be best for North Olmsted and see what the budget would allow and what would be best for our city.
Okay. Thank you. Mary Ellen Heeman, what do you think are the biggest challenges currently facing North Olmsted?
Challenge North Olmsted faces right now is poor leadership. I have offered my skills, resources, and every business acumen that I have, and the administration turns it down. They don't want the help from their council people. They don't want to engage with us. And it's unfortunate because we sit with a lot of very qualified people that are not being tapped to provide the resources that we should be bringing to the table as a full team. So unfortunately, that to me is the first and biggest challenge, which is why I'm in the process of building for Team Nicole, a business roundtable coalition. I have two members in my ward. One is a retired commercial banker and another is a retired commercial real estate developer. Both have offered to serve on the board with us because it's going to take an all hands on deck approach. North Olmsted is at a tipping point. We really are at a crossroads. Our storefronts have been vacant for very long, far too long. And we need forward thinking, outside of the box thinking, people who are connected to the state, to the county, and to the resources to bring those tax dollars, our tax dollars, back to North Olmsted and programs that can provide them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Alejandro Schock, in your opinion, what are the biggest challenges currently facing North Olmsted?
Yeah, so North Olmsted has a large retail base. We all know that. And the COVID-19 pandemic has really accelerated changes in how people shop. And we really need to start thinking about what's retail of the future? What is the mall of the future? And what policies do we need to put in place to make sure that we're acting proactively to get in front of that? I think our challenge as a city council would be to put in place proactive policies that are in front of the changing world rather than being reactive. By acting proactively and using our location as a resource, like I said in the previous question, I think we can make North Olmsted an ideal destination for businesses and families. Besides this, here in Ward 4, we need to address flooding head on. We need to invest in the equipment necessary to keep the sewers clear, water flowing. And, you know, talking about leadership and talking about bringing money back, I think we need representation that encourages collaboration and promotes a shared understanding that when people work together, no challenge is insurmountable. Unfortunately, the current city council has passed on a lot of money that could have come back into North Olmsted, and it's just set us further behind. So yeah, I think leadership is a challenge, and I think that leadership is missing on city council. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think, and I could be wrong, that it is Mary Gilchrist who starts the next round. Is that correct? Yes? Okay. Mary Gilchrist. North Olmsted is currently without a service director or a safety director. What is your position on those roles within the city of North Olmsted, and how would you address this issue as a member of city council? You're muted, Mary.
I think that a safety director and a service director are very important part of running a city. And I think they need to be a professional person that's brought in, somebody who's trained in service and safety. So I think that we really need those in our city, and we need to get someone in there, 2 people, 1 for each job, because those are 2 different positions.
Thank you. Sharon Kelly,
Okay,
what is your position on the roles of service director and safety director within the city of North Olmsted? And how would you address this issue as a member of city council?
bottom line is we need them. We need the safety and service director, whether it's determined to be 2 separate jobs or continue as one, we need one. Candidates were put forward and council didn't appear to have an open mind with regard to the mayor's candidates. For one candidate in an open forum, when it was addressed, there were questions that were inappropriate and some reactions by council made it uncomfortable for guests in attendance. I happen to be one of them. We need someone in a position who has knowledge and experience to work with police, fire, and EMS and make sure they have access to resources in order to do their jobs, as well as a point person to handle services within the city, whether it's trash, recycling, bulk pickup. For areas where high volume of speeding, racing, cut-throughs occur, for example, behind the high school. That's where I live. I see those cars screech through there every day. Maybe they need to get targeted enforcement in those areas, but we have no one to go to ask them to do this. So yes, that position needs to be filled immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 4, Alejandro Schock. What is your position on the roles of service director and safety director within the city of North Olmsted? And how would you address this issue as a member of city council?
Yeah, so the charter is pretty clear on how this position is supposed to be filled. If we want to change the charter to have it be 2 separate positions, that's a different issue. But at least in terms of city council, our responsibility as city council is to advise and consent on the mayor's recommendation for safety and service director. And quite frankly, this position needs to be filled as soon as possible. We need to have that position. We need to have that leadership in the safety and service departments. But having sat through the most recent hearing, I'm not particularly surprised that we're struggling to recruit talent for this position. I was astonished to hear my opponent's questions to the previous nominee in terms of questioning the nominee's age and the nominee's cognitive ability. Those questions were vile and reprehensible. I think it's disappointing to see council stoop to that level. No matter what you feel of the person that is before you, you need to treat that person with respect. And I will do that from day one. Everyone that comes before city council will be treated with respect, because that's how we get good talent in this city. That's how we attract good people to the city, is with an understanding that their government is going to treat them with respect and view them as qualified candidates. If the mayor submits a qualified candidate, they'll get a fair shake from me, and I will always come into that discussion with an open mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ellen Heeman. What is your position on the roles of service and safety directors within North Olmsted? And how would you address this issue?
Imperative positions to North Olmsted. They're critically important. We have seen firsthand dog bites, debacles, all kinds of things happen, right? Service isn't getting done correctly. The bottom line, however, is that, I did not ask questions about anyone's age. That is actually illegal. I know a little better than that. So no, that was not the question. The question really, the questions are hard questions, and that's because safety and service is hard. There's nothing pleasant about it. It's a 24/7 job. That safety service director previously would text, email, talk to us day or night based on what was happening in our ward, so we were informed. You've seen plenty of things in the newspaper about our employees, our residents, different things happening. Safety and service is hard. It's a hard job. It takes an absolute dedicated professional. I am forward thinking. I do not think we should pull people from the past to try to fill jobs. I don't believe in double dipping with taxpayer money. So a lot of those candidates, they just didn't really fit that bill for what I think we owe the residents of North Olmsted with regard to a consummate professional, hardworking and dedicated for safety and service. And the mayor did not bring other candidates forward, although he had 9. Thank you.
Next question, Sharon Kelly. I believe you're up. If Spruce Elementary is closed, What should be the future use of this property?
Yeah, that's a good question. My son happens to actually work in the schools, and he gets information from the schools, the inside information, I guess you would call it, but he has even talked about, maybe that could be a storage facility for the abundance of records. Maybe the city and the school could work together for storage or whatever they need to use it for. Because right now with the new school and everything else, they've had to use classrooms for storage, where it could open up there, like a shower facilities. There's things that could be done with that extra stuff that sits in classrooms in North Olmsted High School or middle school, and they can use it for storage. And it is just one possibility. I'm not really familiar too much with the school stuff, but I could see that happening in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Gilchrist, what do you think should be done with Spruce Elementary, the property, if the school is to be closed?
I think that we should work together with the school board to find out what is needed and make our decisions based on what's best for the children. Without knowing what the school board may need, I can't make a good opinion on what they would do with that property.
Fair enough.
Thank you. Mary Ellen Heeman, what do you think should be done with Spruce Elementary if it is closed? What should that property be used for?
Spruce Elementary should be a joint venture between the school board and city council. And we share the same tax base. We have parks and recreation needs. We have some other needs for that property, perhaps. Some of what really has to happen, though, with that partnership is to find out what the schools need and then what does the city need. Certainly, if it's put on the market, it would have to be offered as a charter school first. And we don't need another charter school in North Olmsted. I think we provide good education and we want to have student retention in our school population. So I do believe that it needs to be a joint venture of some sort. Obviously, along with Ms. Gilchrist's statement that we are not on the school board. And so we really aren't fully engaged to answer what they might want to do with that. But certainly I could see it clearly for parks and recreation and summer camps and lots of other purposes like that as joint venture. Thank you.
Thank you. Alejandro Schock, I beg your pardon. Should Spruce Elementary be closed? What do you think the future of this property should be?
Yeah, so I think, I went to an elementary school in Berea that was eventually closed and no longer exists, and it's an open piece of land. And I think it was a big missed opportunity in Berea to transform that property into something good for the community. Obviously, this is an opportunity for City Council and the city to work with North Olmsted City Schools. I think this is an opportunity too to consider potentially transforming this piece of property into a community resource, like a community center or some sort of center for children to play at there with a playground. There's obviously a development on both sides of the property. There's an immediate connection to the North Olmsted bike trail. This is also right next to the pedestrian bridge over 480. So I think that there's plenty of opportunities to leverage this property into a benefit for the community. And I think this is a great example of needing to work with the school board and make sure that we have a good working relationship there. I want to have a constructive relationship with the school board. I want to make sure that we go into that thinking, how can we work together for the benefits of not just our students, but also for the community. So, that's what I would think. I'd love to see that. I'd love to work with both the city and city council to make sure we can get something good out of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It has been mentioned that homes in North Olmsted have flooding issues. What could the city do to assist homeowners in remedying the flooding issue? And I believe, Mary Gilchrist, I believe you're first on this question. You're muted there.
Okay, so yeah, flooding is an issue, especially in my ward. So I think I would like to see some more maintenance, improved programs to help prevent future flooding in North Olmsted. We need ongoing regular maintenance of the existing things that we have. And of course, also expanding our retention areas for when we have large storms would be another thing that we could do to help decrease the flooding in our ward and in North Olmsted.
Thank you. Thank you. Sharon Kelly,
Okay,
what do you think the city could do to alleviate flooding issues and help homeowners?
well, as a person, like I mentioned, I am in the flood zone, so I do sympathize with everybody when their home floods. I know what it's like watching the weather forecast. I've assisted my neighbors during the aftermath of a flood, throwing valuables and memories away, bringing in the big fans and seeing the stress on their faces. It's heartbreaking. Mayor Kennedy fought hard to keep the purchase of the new Vector truck in the budget that would remove debris from our storm sewers, a necessary tool for addressing the flooding. I would like to see more of that. I would like to see the drains maintained on a routine basis. I do want to address this problem head on and continue to build on what Mayor Kennedy's already initiated. The retention basins around the city have helped, and in August, the phase of the 1.5 million gallon EQ basin began. This will regulate water, excess water and rainwater, and release it in a controlled. Flooding is a huge sore spot with the residents, and I want to stay on top of that. We also need to keep streets clean so the garbage and debris doesn't end up in the catch basins. And when there is an anticipated storm, maybe we can jump ahead of it and get them cleaned out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Alejandro Schock, what do you think the city of North Olmsted could do to alleviate the flooding issue and help homeowners?
Yeah, so I sympathize as well with neighbors that are dealing with flooding issues. I've run into quite a few people that are in Ward 4, and I know people on my own street deal with flooding issues from time to time as well. I'm concerned that the increasingly wetter winters and springs are going to further challenge us in terms of flooding, and we really do need to attack this issue proactively. I think my background in engineering can be useful as council considers its options. One of the options I'd love to consider is, can we look into the building and zoning code and see how, things like permeable pavements can be used either on sidewalks or in parking spaces? Can we also, reduce open pavement in areas and incorporate more green space into our community to try to reduce a lot of that impermeable pavement that allows water to get into the system and causes some of these problems? So, we can also look at vegetative biofilters and also continuing the EQ basin projects and ensuring that the service department has the working sewer Vector trucks and that we continue our street sweeping programs and catch basin maintenance. I also think flood prevention, education, and outreach, and also mapping of flooding trends is an important thing that we can do to try to address this problem head on. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize. I think I got my Ward 4 sequence confused here. Mary Ellen Heeman, what do you think the city could do to help homeowners and alleviate the flooding problem?
I think that there are a couple things. First of all, we do in fact have a very good city engineer, and we don't need another one. We have Pete DeFranco. He's amazing. He fixes everything, is run right on top of it. He's amazing. He knows everything about our streets, our sewers. And so I think we're covered in that area. We do have a fully built city. So, short of demolition, to get green space, there isn't a lot of it left, right? I think one of the things we need to start looking at North Olmsted for is a very aggressive maintenance program, right? It's sort of been a start-stop thing. When a flood happens, then the maintenance is accelerated by the administration, and then it sort of falls by the wayside. We have to clean out the swales. We have to keep the ditches clean, but more importantly, we have to start going for bigger projects. Clague Road was actually a project that the small little turning lane, right? Well, we are really wanting sewers for those people. Most of our major streets really don't have sewers. North Olmsted was a farmland, and they did not have in the past the wherewithal to, as they built the homes, to really go proactively toward a sewer program. And I think that that's the hard work that we have to do. Easy is easy, but hard work takes work, and you have to give people the tools and things that they need. So sewers, I think, would be an imperative project for North Olmsted.
Susan, if you don't mind, can I offer a rebuttal as one of the authors of the Clague Road Corridor Study?
30 seconds.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, one thing that's important to think about with Clague Road, had we widened Clague Road, that would have increased the amount of impermeable pavement that would be, constricting drainage. And the other thing to consider is that actually open ditches can sometimes carry more water and displace more water than a closed sewer. The larger you build a sewer, the more expensive it is. That project would have cost the city of North Olmsted $6 million, and the city of North Olmsted had no funding partners willing to fund it. The turning lane project, on the other hand, was mostly covered by ODOT safety and traffic safety money. And, we had everyone lined up ready to go. City council wanted something that they couldn't afford, and then they, didn't do it. So another missed opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, I think let's let all of the candidates speak on the Clague Road repaving project. Going back, because this seems to be an important issue in the city this year. Mary Gilchrist, what is your position on how the Clague Road, Mary, you are next up, aren't you? Am I confused?
Yes.
Okay. What is your position on how the Clague Road widening problem should be resolved?
That's a very complicated issue. But I know that the road needs to be done. It should be rebuilt the right way, completely, with sewers put in. And I know that the residents around that area were asked what they wanted, and a lot of them wanted a third lane put in because that's what Westlake has. So it kind of makes sense if you're going to repave the road that you put the sewers in then, instead of just patch repairing and then doing it later down the road, meaning in years to come.
Thank you. Sharon Kelly, what do you think should be done with the Clague Road paving question?
I got to be honest with you, you have to leave it to the experts. They said the third road was not a smart idea at this time, but the safety of the third lane at Maple was definitely a safety issue. I don't know if how many people go down there, but it is a bottleneck in that area, and a turning lane onto Maple, there is a school down there. It would just alleviate so much traffic going out there. I have friends that live on those side streets. They cannot get off those streets. Having that third lane there would just alleviate so much of the traffic that builds up there that, but this is definitely not my area of expertise. And that's why they reached out to the experts to do the study on it. And I would have had to go with the study because they didn't agree with it. And so for some reason it got tabled for months, and that's what city council can't do that anymore. Work together, find a resolution. Don't just say, we're not doing it, and get the money that the federal government has out there for you. Thank you.
Okay. Alejandro, you've already answered this question, but it's your turn. You can do it again if you want.
I'd be happy to. The Clague Road Corridor Study originated in early 2020, right as the pandemic was kicking off. The goal of that project was to identify traffic and safety improvements on Clague Road, on the north end of Clague Road from Lorraine Road to the Westlake City line, and that's exactly what we did. We identified, we looked at the data, we looked at crash trends, we looked at traffic trends, and what we found was that Maple Ridge Road is a bottleneck. It's a natural bottleneck. There's no left turn lane there. There's a left turn arrow, but without a left turn lane, you lose a lot of signal efficiency at that location, and that causes a lot of traffic and a lot of crashes. So what we did was we identified a solution there, a left turn lane, and we provided the city with an application for ODOT's traffic and safety funding for it. And city council then, tabled it for 10 months, and then it came back up, and then they almost used taxpayer funds to fund it, and now they're going to go after a safety funding for something else. And I really want to say, that there's already sewers on Clegg Road. What there isn't is closed storm drainage. But like I said, you close the storm drainage, you are now constricted to whatever that pipe can hold. And when it can't hold anymore, it starts flooding onto the street. So I don't think that the third lane would have solved the major problem on Clegg Road. Thank you.
Mary Ellen Heeman, please, what is your position on how the Clegg Road issue should be resolved?
Thank you. First and foremost, I think that, to the candidates here, don't understand the process, okay? It is not council's process that we engage a project like that. The administration does. So the administration went to my opponent's employer to find out what study should be done for whatever grants might be available at that time, right? All of that came back, and no, council was not pleased with that. We asked the mayor multiple times to re-engage that firm to expand the project. We wanted hard numbers, factual information. We wanted to know the cost of a full third lane. We were very interested in a much larger project. The administration, however, chooses low-hanging fruit because it's easy. Hard work is hard. It is very hard, and it is expensive, and there are resources available. We're staring down the barrel of infrastructure funding that's going to come our way. So we weren't willing to settle. City council does not settle. The mayor would not engage to give us the hard numbers and the bigger project to look at that we asked for. So the process is not council's process. It is the mayor's process. Thank you.
Thank you. There have been, the audience came through at the end, and we have a lot of excellent questions that we are now unable to take. We are out of time. I wish to thank everybody. I wish to thank all of the candidates and the audience. And it's time to proceed now to closing argument. Sharon Kelly is we start with Ward 3, and Sharon Kelly, being second for opening, now gets first closing argument. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In closing, I would like to, again, thank you for this opportunity. This is my first experience doing this. This has been a little bit overwhelming for the day. Like I said before, I love the city. I love everything about this city. I've raised my kids there. It's been good to me, and I know things can be better. Flooding is definitely one of the things I want to focus on in my ward specifically, and work hand in hand with the school board to see what we can do around my area where I live too. I run a large youth group out of North Olmsted from November to March. We bring in hundreds of athletes and families into our community, and they in turn support our local businesses. I hear from these businesses all the time during season. We pack their restaurants. We do morning, noon, and night. We are there from 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. every Sunday. I would also like to see more approachable city council. It's intimidating for anyone to stand in front of council and address them, and I would like to see it more resident friendly. I have a voice, and I want to be able to use my voice for the people in my ward to address their concerns. I need to work together if we are going to get anything done. I will keep an open mind. I will research before assuming, and it will be okay for someone to disagree with me, and we can still work together. Let's bring this community together. It's difficult these past few years. We need to work together. Let's reach out to our seniors. Make sure they have the food they need. Make sure they are getting to their appointments. Make sure they aren't alone. Show them that our senior center and what it has to offer. There's a lot of lonely people in North Olmsted. I knock on their doors, and they just want somebody to talk to. We need to engage these people. This is, after all, North Olmsted, and we are a great community. Thank you all.
Thank you. Now for Ward 3, Mary Gilchrist, it's your closing argument.
Thank you. I want to thank you for inviting me to the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum. I believe that with good leadership, we can see North Olmsted flourish. Fred Rogers once said, "Each generation in its turn is a link between all that has gone before and all that comes after." That is truly genetic, and it is equally true in the transmission of identity. Our parents gave us what they were able to give, and we took what we could of it and made it part of ourselves. We, in turn, will offer what we can of ourselves to our children and their offspring, and they will receive what they can of it. I believe that the same is true in regards to the city of North Olmsted. This time in history is unique. We need to preserve the community that we have been and adapt to the challenges that will come before us. We need to have a plan set forth for our city that will guide the course of how the city will progress over the years. We can work together to leave a legacy for our children and help the city of North Olmsted achieve great things. Let's unite to keep our city great for families and seniors. I appreciate your consideration in this election and ask for your vote. My name is Mary Gilchrist, and I thank you for watching.
Thank you. Now for Ward 4, closing argument. Going first will be Mary Ellen Heeman.
Thank you. Thank you again for hosting the event. I really appreciate it. I was hoping that there would be one. So in conclusion, I would like to say that I believe North Olmsted is facing a business and retail crossroads. Stores are closing, vacant spaces everywhere. North Olmsted had a part-time business consultant, but part-timers aren't good enough for us and weren't working hard enough for us or for you. It's time for an approach to put North Olmsted's business base back on track to success. My plan is to work with my contacts at the local, county, and state levels, as I have done in the past, and be engaged with those people to bring tax dollars and other necessary resources back home to North Olmsted so that we can build a better future for ourselves and our families without increasing taxes. Trust me, I do not want to pay them either. I actually am a resident. I know you forget that sometimes. In addition to working with my colleagues and outside partners, I am working to build a first ever business roundtable coalition with 2 members already invoked and more to come. I think that it takes a hands-on approach and an all hands on deck approach. It's a collective effort to grow a city. My leadership qualifications, business experience, and willingness to work with others are the kind of qualities we need on City Council for North Olmsted to succeed. Hard work is never easy. The easy way is never effective. I will continue to work hard for all of us. Let's build our future together, a strong partnership for a strong North Olmsted. Please, I'm asking for your vote, your consideration on November 2nd. Early voting starts October 5th. Thank you so much for your support and your time.
Thank you. And now closing argument for Ward 4, Alejandro Schock.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the audience and the League of Women Voters for putting on tonight's candidates forum. On a day-to-day basis, I work with cities like North Olmsted to help them identify feasible solutions to their infrastructure concerns and connect them with the resources to make positive change possible in their communities. North Olmsted voters have an opportunity this November to bring a fresh perspective to North Olmsted City Council. We have the opportunity to elect leadership that focuses on the needs of the community and leadership that stands ready and willing to engage with the public to advance the public good. North Olmsted has the opportunity to reject political gamesmanship and substitute instead true leadership ready to work on day one, focused on the critical issues of our time and the critical challenges of the future. From day one, I will prioritize sustainable economic growth by championing economic development strategies that encourage the development and retention of strong businesses. I will focus on the backbone of our community by utilizing my professional experience to aggressively pursue funding for transportation, water, and sewer system improvement projects. But most importantly, I will prioritize the community. I will serve as an accessible and approachable community resource, and I will engage with you and connect you with the resources and services that you need. Our city's rich history proves that North Olmsted is a community of opportunity, ready to embrace any challenge and realize success. My wife and I moved to North Olmsted intentionally because we believe in North Olmsted and everything it can offer when good people with good intentions come together to do great things. City Council is an office of service, not self. If I have the opportunity to represent Ward 4 on North Olmsted City Council, I will do everything in my power to advance the public interest and put the community before politics because it is and always will be the right thing to do. You're never too young to make a difference, and it's at times like these that we need good people with good intentions ready to serve their community. I believe my professional experience and skill set can benefit both City Council and our community, and I hope you can support me this November. Once again, my name is Alejandro Chalk, and I'm a candidate for North Olmsted City Council Ward 4. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. And thank you again, candidates, audience, and the League of Women Voters of Greater Cleveland, North Olmsted Westlake chapter. Please, everybody, be sure to go to the other forums which are going to take place concerning the election in North Olmsted this year, and consult Vote 411. Make sure you're registered to vote, and vote. Thank you very much.